Now we look at example 2. In example 2, we were going to determine the amplitude period equation from the graph. So let's say example 2, consider the following graph of trigonometric function. Question A, determine the amplitude. So amplitude is referred as the height of the graph. So here is the amplitude. So based on this question, let's say question A, our amplitude, I change to white color. So our amplitude, question A, amplitude or A is equals to positive 3. So here is the amplitude, the height of the graph. Next, we'll go to period. So next, we'll look at period. As we all know, period is referred as one complete cycle, since this is the graph of sine. So one complete cycle, actually from here until here. So this is one complete cycle. So this referred as period. So based on our graph from 0 until pi. So here is pi. So means that period or t is equals to pi. So period refer as one complete cycle. Next, we look at equation of the graph. Since the graph is start from 0, as we all know, let's say C, generally, y is equals to a sine, y sine, because it start from 0, alpha x. So we already have the value of a, which is amplitude 3. What we need to find the value of alpha. So we need to find the value of alpha. As we all know, the period, formula for period, which is t, is equals to pi, and the formula is 2 pi over alpha. So, or I can write, let's say, so period t is alpha. If you still remember, t is equals to 2 pi over alpha. So means that 2 pi over alpha is equals to pi. So 2 pi is equals to alpha pi. I just multiply alpha to the right hand side. So means that alpha is equals to 2 pi over pi, or alpha is equals to 2. So therefore, the equation of the graph is y is equals to a sine alpha x, where our value of a is amplitude is 3, sine alpha, our alpha is equals to 2. So a sine 2x. So this is the equation of the graph. Finally, we'll look at D, where determine whether the function of the graph is odd or even, state the reason. So if you look at this graph, the graph is symmetry about the origin. So you can see here is symmetry about the origin. So you can see the graph is symmetry about the origin. So I can say that question D, let's say I'm doing here D, odd function So state the reason. So the graph is symmetry about the origin. So for question B, there is no calculation. So we just say that this is odd function because it's symmetry about the origin. Next, we move on to example 3. Consider the following graph of trigonometric function. So first, determine the amplitude. Again, the amplitude is referred as the height of the graph. So for question A, amplitude A is equals to 5 because the height of the graph, so as you can see, the height of the graph is 5. So this height of the graph is 5. So amplitude is 5. Next, we move on to the period. So B, period T is equals to so from here you can see that although this is start from negative, we all know that this is the graph of cos. So this is the one complete cycle. So this is period. This graph is reflects on x-axis. So this is the graph of cos. So one complete cycle, because if the graph is sine, then it should start from 0. So now this is start from a value which is -5. So this is the graph for cos. One complete cycle will be 8. So here our period is 8. Then C, equation. And we know that the period T is equals to 2 pi over alpha. So where our T is 8, so 8 is equals to 2 pi over alpha. I multiply alpha to the right hand side. 8 alpha is equals to 2 pi. So alpha is equals to 2 pi over 8, or alpha is equals to pi over 4. So from here, generally, y is equals to a cos alpha x. So y is equals to, since a, you can see that this graph actually start from -5. So we have to write this here is -5 because it start from -5. So a cos -5 cos alpha, the value of alpha is pi over 4 x. So here is the answer. So if the graph is start from the negative value, in this question is -5, so our amplitude will be -5, -5. So and then our alpha is pi over 4, so -5 cos pi over 4 x. We move on to question D. Determine whether the function of the graph is odd or even. You can see that, let's say, you can see that this part actually is symmetry to this part. So they are symmetry. If I separate into two, this part is symmetry to this part. The left hand side is symmetry to the right hand side. So we can say that this is even function. Why? Because the graph, so we have to state the reason, because the graph is symmetry about y-axis.